welcome everybody to our interview today with Victoria Arkle. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and just let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Charlotte, thank you so much for this opportunity. We were just talking about how friendship works, and this is a truly wonderful opportunity. My name is Victoria Arkle, as you mentioned, and I've been around doing the Angel Connection game for quite a number of years. I now feel like I've joined the ranks of the great-grandmother, but maybe I'll say the ranks of godmother. Sounds a little better.
There you go.
I began as a kid. I think most of your interviewees will say the same thing. There was something special and different about life that I felt. So I started to hone in on imaginary friends, somehow finding out later they were real. And then very, very interested in aromatherapy, and that led to angels. And in the 80s, there was a big resurgence of angels and all that, crystals. And then suddenly with a near-death experience in 1991, it kind of plugged it all in. And that near-death experience led me into a whole different game board of life rather than the path I was on, which was I was a school teacher and a school administrator. So I found that after this amazing experience, to go back to teaching was nearly impossible to do. And I was so much more interested in what the angels had to say about crystals. And so that was my passion, that was my love. And I started a business called the Angel Connection, probably naming it after the angels I met in my near-death experience, whom actually had been old friends from childhood. They were the imaginary friends, found that out. And then, yeah, it was, and before long, just all of the synchronicities of an article in a newspaper, full color page ad that just came up for free, you know, and my telephone started ringing back in the day when we actually had telephones in the wall. And people started coming for crystal healings, and that required learning about how to relax them on the table, to move energy, and how to do multiples different ministering to people with their guided imagery, and it just it floated my boat, I'll tell you. And I'm really grateful that so many other people have joined our team, and I call them our tribe members.
Yeah.
And they have taught me about crystals. I kind of backed away from the crystals and then became a yoga instructor when I moved to Central America in 2011. And I was still able to incorporate energy and working with the guided imagery. And I still feel that is probably my true reason for being here, is channeling and guiding people into a more relaxed, profound, multidimensional state. I guess that's really what I'm up to from the past up until the current moment.
Wow, well, it's pretty significant, I would say. So you say that you lived in Central America?
I did. I moved to Central America because I wanted to be sitting on top of a Mayan pyramid December 21st, 2012.
Wow, that is super cool. Yes.
And I did, and I sat on top of this pyramid. I lived triangulated between 3 pyramids, by the way, and nothing happened.
Oh no, actually a lot happened. A lot happened.
I look back and say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a fabulous goal to have, and you did it.
I did it. And I came back with a yoga degree in how to teach and do yoga for other people.
Right.
And that sustained me and supported me. But who knew that what we were feeling in 2012, which was seemed to be a major hurdle and guidepost, would only be reflecting itself now in 2020. I really see it more now. You're right. Things happen that we didn't feel. In fact, I had a whole bunch of crummy stuff happen to me after that.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that too, but you know, there's reasons I think for that too.
Well, 2012 was a very powerful year. Buddhamouse opened in March of 2012. At the time, I didn't even realize what was happening, except that this was also the time that the Mayan calendar was moving into its next shift, and so there was a lot of excitement around what's going to be happening, when the Mayan calendar and Aztec calendar ends. And so it was a very powerful year, and I didn't even realize it at the time that I opened up Buddhamouse. It was actually due to people coming in who had started their journeys. A lot of people had major shifts in 2012 where they ended something very significant and started on their path towards something different. People coming in and just ending their corporate careers and going back for degrees or leaving things behind. And so that's pretty cool that you were able to experience that date at that time and date in that space. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So maybe that said, it could be that we started a little earlier so we would be there to receive the people in 2012, because so much of the knowledge that I've gathered since the 80s and earlier, 82, I really started profoundly on this journey. It's just kind of integrated into me now. I can feel it coming out in my channeling. I can feel what happens as I'm looking at. I'm more or less a medical intuitive when I have somebody on the table, and all of that was sort of like open arms for the next wave of people to say, what's happening?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's really that's a huge aspect of what we ended up wanting to do, which is for there to be healers for the amazing amount of healees that were starting to come out of the woodwork. People would just be coming into Buddhamouse and just saying, I don't know why, I don't know what's happening, but I either want to learn about crystals, I want to pick up meditation, I want, things have to change in my life, it's too chaotic. How do I calm down?
That's beautiful.
So that's
and you were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm there and I can say, oh yeah, been there, been on that same march. It feels at times a little chaotic, sitting in front of an unknown. And that's really, I feel, the most powerful time to be in that unknown, waiting for the next breath, we call it in yoga. There's that empty lung, what's going to happen next, that I really find is thrilling. Really exciting. So I'm loving where we are at, and where the folks who are coming up and continue to awaken. And don't you feel them waking up again, boy? 2012, and now peepers are open all over the world now. The midst of our COVID-19 disaster that we're working with now. People are waking up. Glad we're here for them.
That's very true. I mean, it's when the whole world gets put on pause, people have to really look at their lives differently, and some some veils are being revealed here. Are all these man-made emergencies and man-made life configurations are being exposed as not reality. They don't need to be reality.
It is so, it's so exciting for me to be able to say, I'm there for you. It's a ministry. I feel like that's a calling. And I slid in under the wire at a little yoga studio in town. And so I teach actually face-to-face yoga classes, real time. I don't have to go on Zoom. Yeah.
That's nice.
I mean, another synchronicity. Who knew, right? That the angels would help me with that one too. So
that's very true.
Talk, and they say lots of stuff the scales are dropping from society, not just from our eyes, but from everything. So I'm happy that we can have a place for them to just kind of say, well, and I used to always say, I can give you a woo-woo answer that's way out there. Or I can give you a nice, grounded, let's walk a spiritual path with earthly feet. Because this is where we are right here. And if I get too out there, start to talk about all the woo-woo stuff, I find it distances people from what we're trying to teach them. And they kind of go, oh, I don't think I'm ready for that. Yes, you are. Let me put it into nice, grounded English for you. Or
Yeah.
if it's a different language, it won't be me that teaches it. But with my teaching ability, I love to help people to just kind of get a, oh, so this is what's happening to me. And
Right.
it's normal. It's natural. It's easy.
It is very important to meet people where they are on the path. And some people who are just beginning, right, let them dip their toes in. But you also get way in there too. You really do. You've got your channeling class before all this kind of shut down. You were doing a channeling class and
crystal healing classes. I certify crystal healers. I'm very excited to do that for people. And it's funny how they call me, and I'll get one person who'll say, I'd like to learn it, either learn how to channel, or I'd like to learn how to be a crystal healer. And then another person will call, and then another person will call, and pretty doggone soon I've got a whole nice little class. So that's really, for a teacher, whew, music to my ears.
that's
How
very
many
true.
people can I talk at once? I'd love to teach everybody.
That's
Love
awesome. That's very cool. Do you have any plans on how you want to integrate either this new technology into into your current or future work?
If I can get a hold of a tech-savvy young person, I'm going places.
I hear you there, sister. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I tried to explain to people that it didn't always used to be like this. We had message machines, and if you didn't answer, you weren't home. You just, but people take it very differently now. And so I'm learning, and I would love to teach. And in fact, I'd love to teach through Buddhamouse when you're starting up your calendar, and get a place on the calendar. I'd love to teach crystal healing classes, and don't know if people would call for a crystal healing itself. I easily can do remote crystal healing. Easily can do that.
And do you do remote healing?
Oh yeah, can do that easily. So, energy is energy. You can either feel it, touch it, taste it, or perceive it with your mind and heart. Same thing happens. Miraculously speaking, how's that for a good kind word? You can see whatever it is that you need. I kind of take exception to being, I guess an Edgar Cayce type of channel, because he channeled very differently. He actually went into almost a coma. And towards the end, they had a difficult time waking Edgar Cayce up. So I'm speaking about Edgar Cayce as though those who are listening probably do know him, of him. He's passed on now. But I
a little bit about him.
A little bit about Edgar Cayce.
Yeah, a little bit about. I'm not quite familiar, so.
He's very instrumental in. There was a resurgence. Madame Blavatsky started all and the tipping of the tables and the seances. And Edgar Cayce kind of came out of that, but he was a very practical man in Virginia, I want to say. A very grounded, practical man, but he would go into these very deep channeling sessions where he would almost it would be difficult to bring him back. Towards the end of his life, it almost took 1 to 2 to 3 days to bring him back. And I said, I don't want to do that. But he would take a little bit of a knowledge about the person, no matter where they were in the world, and he would come up with, and the Edgar Cayce readings are still to this day memorable, amazing readings about how you're going to find a library under the Sphinx paw, which they found, how you're going to find separate rooms in the Great Pyramid, and
Oh,
how that's
wow.
going. Yeah. The pyramids all over the world. He tuned into those, and he would incorporate and weave those into his messages for each individual person. Uh, More or less, by the way, you've got a little gallbladder problem, and you could take this herb and that herb, and it would help you greatly. But he'd weave in this real high, lofty, airy-fairy stuff along with these messages. So they very deliberately recorded all of the Edgar Cayce material, and you can get that material to this day. And some of the stuff, the prophecy, out of this world, really interesting stuff, literally out of this world. Some of it is extraterrestrials and all, but
That's cool.
yeah.
Thank you for, I've heard of him, but I'm not as familiar with him. But that's pretty neat, of the different things that he was able to.
More or less was a child prodigy from a very young age, and of course this moved him into a different realm. That is now Edgar Cayce foundations, and they sell products that he recommends and all that. But didn't want to go that way for me. Number one, I didn't want to be famous, but I don't know what that entails nowadays. So I started trance channeling. And
You started what?
Trance channeling. You kind of go
Trance
into a trance, just a light alpha state, eyes kind of, like TikTok, watch the watch. That is a trance. Trance, when you go into watching your television, you're into a trance. And it's a very much lighter state for the channel. And because I still wanted to have a handle on being able to come back if I needed to. Let's say a candle tripped over and caught the carpet on fire. That's kind of inconvenient to be in coma. So trance channeling is, and it sparked after my near-death experience. And the angels brought in Master Saint Germain, and I had groups, large groups, 10, 20, 30 people just sitting at my feet saying, "You've got to write a book, you're going to be famous." And I said, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to be famous, but I would like to continue channeling." And I think some of my best work is teaching channeling to people, and giving one-on-one audiences with Master Saint Germain or my two angelic friends. That's the only three folks I channel.
Very cool. Now, your near-death experience too is also a fascinating subject. There's a friend who comes in, or used to, but when we were open, who really studied that as a as an experience, that's so unique. And well, actually, that's what's interesting about it. I guess it's not necessarily unique. It's each person has their own experience, but there's a lot of commonality that's shared between that. Did you read a lot about it afterwards, or study it, or I know it must impact your life when you basically are seeing, but how did you learn more about it?
As little as possible, so as not to cloud my mind with, well, okay, the facts say that you always go for the white light, and that's where I'm going to tell people I did too.
Right.
Because in fact, I didn't go for the white light. It was very interesting. But I did read a little bit about it in an article, and then a book from a woman who had a very similar experience to mine. And she described coming out of it, being in the hospital and seeing spirits. It's like your third eye is ripped open, but you don't have a guidebook.
Yeah.
So she had the same kind of issues happening with her. She didn't focus as much on the near-death part of it. I got a big download from the near-death part. And so just reading her experience brought me comfort. But the issues after returning, I returned for my little boy because he was just about 4 years old, and I had to raise him. And the angels, I remember Riley saying as they rolled their eyes, "They always want to come back for those babies." And it's true. We do, and so
of course.
There's no question about it. That's usually how we return, and that's one of the things I did learn later, is that near-death experiences generally are parents returning to raise their child.
Yes.
Usually, if it's nobody holding you back here, you don't have a lot of karmic issues to finish up. There was nothing I would have rather have done than just boogie on out of here. Oh,
Oh,
it was
well, I'm glad you're still here.
Charlotte, thank you. But I knew I had a lot to, I knew I had a lot to teach, and that was they laughingly said, "We've got a condition for you," and I said, what's the bottom line? You come back, you're granted an extension to raise your little boy, but we'd like you to teach some spiritual stuff for us. And I said, well, I'm a teacher, so that seems pretty doable. They call crystal healing a sacred symmetry. Isn't that a beautiful name?
Oh, I
Sacred
love it.
Yeah.
Sacred symmetry.
They taught us, they taught me by using sort of holograms. They would just kind of appear in front of their hands, and they would teach me the crystals and the directions. And so that was my my condition for returning, was that I'd be a teacher. Well, nothing pleased me more, so I could tell they kind of figured that out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe it, but we've already got our 23 minutes.
You know what? I was afraid
That's
of that.
how fast it goes by.
I'm a talker.
Believe me, you're talking to a talker. But what I want to do before as we close out is I've got the Dragon Oracle cards from Diana Cooper.
Nice.
Have you ever seen these?
I have not, but I will tell you the ones I purchased from Buddhamouse, everybody. Those beautiful cards that I bought from you, the ones about the star seed.
Yes.
The Syrian. I love them.
That's a cool set.
Everybody get to the Buddhamouse, get those cards. You won't be sad.
Once we're ready, I'm trying to put everything on the website as much as I can. It's just very time consuming, but I'll try to get the cards on there. That's a good idea.
The cards, oh my goodness, they're beautiful. The Syrian Starseed with Patricia Corey, wonderful cards. So you better order some more, because we want everybody to get them.
Yeah, those are neat. Well, I picked a card. It's called the Blue Dragon from the Pleiades.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And it prepares you to accept source healing. Accept a heart activation, give and receive heart healing. Let me show what the picture looks like here. It's very pretty.
Oh, it's beautiful. The Blue Dragon. And it's so amazing for me, just the synchro of just that, because I always thought I was green. Green is a healer color. And most people say when they are attracted to a color that are healers, green. Green, green, green. Yeah. But I shifted after going to Belize in Central America to blue, and I love that blue.
Ah, blue dragon.
It just shifted so primarily different that it was 180 degrees.
These are really pretty ones. Let me just real quick show it one more time. You can see that the heart.
Look at all the star, and I think that's probably the 7 sisters in the star pattern there.
Oh yeah, well of course the Pleiades, yeah.
With the 7 sisters, and it's so exciting that so much of our culture is from the Pleiadian culture. We all have it woven into our ancient history. So I love that card.
We're all children of the stars. We're made of star stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Victoria, this has been a lot of fun today. I thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me. And I'm excited for when we start the journey together in this new way and potential virtual way, because it could be that that's the change that's going to start happening. I would love for us to integrate and be on a one-on-one soon, and we'll just keep our prayers and hopes and dreams.
However it is that that Spirit's got it cooked up for us, let's just kind of weave our way into being winners.
You got it.
Right?
That's a great way to look at it.
I'm getting on your calendar. I'm going to be there. Watch for me, Victoria Arkle.
Yay, Victoria Arkle. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we will see each other on the other side of all this.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Bye-bye.